Oh, yeah.
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 They're harvested.
So where do you get the water from?
Well,
Well, right back of it.
Oh, so you've got a well now?
Yeah.
yeah, water system,
Yeah.
That's amazing.
get it all hooked up.
That's great.
Yeah.
Everything we're working on solar, and he was there this afternoon.
Can everyone
So-
online hear us? Oh. Yes, okay. Thank you, Frank. Andrea, I assume you can hear as well, and Chair, we're ready. You are?
All right, well, welcome everyone to our May meeting, Economic Growth Strategy Committee. We'll call the meeting to order. First, we're going to ask for approval of the agenda.
Also move the approval of the agenda.
A second.
All right. And also approval of the minutes from the March 10th, 2026 meeting.
I'll approve the minutes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Business
You
arising?
just have to motion carry.
Yeah,
All those in
right.
favor?
All those in favor?
All those in favor, yeah.
Aye.
Want to remind nay, motion carried, approval of the minutes. Okay, business arising?
Hi. Hi, it's Andrea. No, not hi, but I.
Right. Is there any business arising? No? All right, next on our list, counselor appointments.
Okay, so I'll take that one. So every 2 years, council revises or appoints council representation on their committees of council and community committees. So they have done that this past month, and by motion have appointed Warden Penny Smith, Deputy Warden Heidi Wagner, Councillor Dale Richardson, which are all reoffering positions. The only change is Councillor Angie Shand is now appointed by council as the alternate for this committee. So unfortunately, Councillor Shand isn't here. We have all of our 3 councillors here, so it wasn't necessary anyway. But I'm sure you'll see her around the table, and we'll introduce her at that time if she's attending. So,
Okay.
yep. So that was it. So that's a 2-year term for this committee. Yep.
All right, so number 6 is properties. We're going to get an update on Harts Point and the future development analysis from Warren on this one.
Sure, thank you. So right now, the activities on the property are, we're just going to be doing the Landsat. That should be something that'll be done in the near future. We have approached DNR with regard to asking what the requirements are from them that they would need from us in terms of the mapping that would be required for us to submit with our request for an easement along the trail on the eastern side of Harts Point that goes from Islands Park down to the property. And the idea there is that we'd have 2 access points into the property. So we're waiting to hear back from DNR on that. Right now, we're still awaiting the draft report from the 103 property. And depending on the quality of that report, we would have 2 options. If we liked the quality of that report and we felt that the consultants did a good job on that, we do have the option of extending that RFP, that contract, to Harts Point for them to do that. If we're not happy with what the consultants did there, we can go out and do a new RFP looking for new consultants. But the purpose of that will be, as we talked about before, and that would be for consultants to identify all the potential uses that property could offer the community, so long as it fit within the qualifications for that special area, meaning that it had to be for economic benefit to the community. And the committee obviously would be interviewed by those consultants as well, for all of you to put your input into that as well. Just as a matter of interest, we did have a meeting this week with representative from the Department of Defense, just itemizing the various historical Department of Defense facilities that had been around the harbor, and saying to them, we're aware that you are putting a lot more money into defense over the next number of years. Is the Department of Defense interested in Shelburne again? And so basically, the answer was that they're going to be passing around that to the various stakeholders within D&D, and that for us to probably expect maybe a delegation of people to come here and just do a tour and look at the various properties that we have here. Harts Point would be one that they would look at. When I said to them, just so you're aware, the committee here wants to move fairly quickly on that. So if you wanted to be considered as a potential option, you'd need to move fast on it. So he said, fair enough. We did say to them, one of the possible, ideas for Harts Point would be a wharf. We had been talking historically about a wharf for cruise ships, but we also talked about the fact that Coast Guard don't have a permanent berth in Shelburne, and they're frequently in the harbor looking for fuel and resupply, and have a tough time getting access to the town wharf. He did say that the Department of Defense does have a funding program for joint ventures between D&D and private enterprise for funding things like a wharf where you had multiple use. So that was a point of interest for them. Yeah, so we have no idea where that conversation is going to go with them, whether or not they're interested or not, but we'll make sure the Economic Growth Committee are aware of that if they do express an interest. If they do express an interest, we'll ask them to come and meet with the committee directly and talk to you. So that's really where things stand with the Harts Point right now. Any questions?
If I may,
Absolutely.
the 103 property, or do we have an idea more when the report is due for that, or?
I've asked for an ETA, so we did change the scope a little bit in the end, so that we did expect that it would run over time, but I have asked for an ETA on that. I had a meeting set up with her on next Monday, but now realize it's a holiday, so I'll just switch that by a day or so. So I should know sometime next week. But I've asked for an ETA in writing from them on when we can expect results, so.
Thank you.
It should be imminent.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we'll have a draft to pass around to the committee as soon as possible on that.
Yeah, and that was for a gap analysis.
Yeah.
For that property, and we're talking something different for
Yes.
Yeah.
the Harts Point property.
Yeah, the two are different, but they are linked and related in the sense that the consultants for the 103 did recognize that
Yes.
whatever you did on Harts Point could impact what happens on the 103 in terms of developer interest.
Yeah, and I think from the discussions at those couple of events that were held, those who did attend, there was discussion on both properties.
There
So they
was.
definitely saw
Yeah.
the connection for the two.
It'd be great if you could encourage the Department of Defense to use the base property for anything they may want.
That
Oh, yeah,
was-
no, we're pushing that hard.
Yeah, that was the bulk of the conversation. It was very light on really the Harts Point property, more on the wharf side for in the harbor, but we did focus mostly on the.
That's a new
the former.
conversation? Am I-
Yes.
yeah, I understand that.
So we met with the Atlantic advisor for D&D. So he's now going to introduce us to the specific stakeholders within D&D. So
Yeah.
see where that goes.
That's good. Okay, any more questions on the Harts Point property? Just good on that one. All right, environmental assessment, the boys' school property, so Val's gonna.
So I did get an official scope of work and quote for doing an environmental assessment and a hazardous building materials survey. of the boys' school property. So any cleanup that happens in the future, whether we're doing it, a landowner is doing it, regardless of how that happens, this would be the first step of that happening. So this is an unbudgeted expense, so we would be looking, if the committee so chooses, to recommend to council to proceed with an environmental assessment. We would take that motion to council and get them to approve the expense. So it does come in at $13,750. And that's a phase 1 environmental assessment and a hazardous building survey.
One item I would add to that, if you don't mind, is that those expenses would qualify to come from our gas tax reserve.
Yes, sorry, our Canada Community Building Capacity Fund. I don't
And that name
know.
has
I
changed.
know I
Yes.
butchered
So it's
that.
got a new name now.
But it would be fully funded from that fund, so it wouldn't be a taxpayer burden on this, because this wouldn't be recoverable money under the like if it's money we spend while it's in kind of that gray area of redeemable tax sale. It's not something we would recover from the property owner. It would be an expense of the municipality, but we can use that federal funding pot for that, so.
Would you do it before it was redeemable?
That's the conversation kind of we've had, but of course the table can have further, that conversation would be regardless of how it gets cleaned up. So if they
It's gotta be
redeem it and
figured out.
council still chooses they want it cleaned up, then there's other mechanisms. This would still have to be done
Yeah.
in
So
any manner.
There's two paths right now that could go. So if the property's not redeemed, then it goes through half funding. We would need the environmental assessment before that anyway. If the property was redeemed, we'd still be looking at proceeding with demolition of buildings under the Dangerton site link, which would qualify for gas tax as well.
Yeah.
Potentially,
Potentially,
if it's used for certain things
Yeah,
afterwards.
right.
It would have to be community use.
So irregardless.
yeah. So irregardless, the environmental assessment is required.
Yeah.
So our recommendation to the committee is to consider it.
Okay, I think Penny has something to say. She's been trying.
Can you tell me what a phase 1 environmental assessment actually is? Like, I don't know the difference in the, like, I don't know how in-depth a phase 1 environmental assessment would be as opposed to any other
Yep,
type.
just give me 1 second.
Well, she's looking, what's the redemption date that they have up
August
until
10th.
August 10th?
So the primary sort of concern in the environmental assessment would be looking at asbestos and in-ground fuel tanks that are on the property. Those would be the primary focus. But they would obviously look for any other potential environmental issues that they might identify.
Okay, I do have your answer. So it's a review of maps, aerial photos, other documents required to evaluate the history of the site and the neighboring properties. Request for a search of Nova Scotia Environment Storage Tank and environmental registries, freedom of information, VoIP if necessary, interviews with persons knowledgeable on the site, site inspection of the property, exterior review of surrounding properties, and documentation of all relevant information in a written report. And then the hazardous materials, due to the age of the structure and the presence of hazardous substances and building materials are considered likely. The completion of the survey would involve access to the site. The structure coupled with documentation of and collection of representative building materials for analysis for the presence of asbestos and lead, and the completion of a report summarizing the findings of the assessment.
All right, I have a question. Are there multiple phases necessary in an environmental assessment?
Depending on what the results of a phase 1 determine, you would move on to a phase 2 environmental assessment. We do know that, because of the use of the property, what it's been used for in the past, it's never, it was some, like administration buildings, youth correctional, institutional. We don't anticipate there being a ton outside of the building materials, but we do know there is at least one storage tank, fuel storage tank underground or in a basement. So those are your biggest concerns. We don't anticipate too much surprise. But all remediation And site assessments are covered under our community capacity building fund, so it's not a burden.
Thank you.
So if it being possible, I would make a motion to the effect that we do the environmental assessment phase 1,
So it'd be to recommend to
a
council.
recommendation of it. Or I'll put it to the committee.
I'll
All
second
right,
it.
so you make the motion on the table?
Yeah.
To have this for the committee?
And I second it.
I will second. All those in favor?
I,
Contrary minded? Okay.
She
motion's
for or
carried.
against?
For, so motion's carried,
Yeah,
I think, did he?
yeah, I see that,
Okay, yeah. So I'll proceed now with the staff report to council with that recommendation being forwarded, so.
All right, surplus lands. Val and
Okay,
Warren
so
both wanna
I'm
speak to
going to
this?
speak to this. We do have a committee member that has to declare a conflict of interest.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll have to be part of the record.
I declare conflict of interest. Is that what I do?
Yeah. I think, is that all we need? Yeah, so you just can't engage in any of the conversation. Sorry, I just need to find my.
Then we know how much you like to talk, so you just.
I got the gift. So we did have our real estate agent look at some of our surplus properties that have been migrated and potentially ready for sale. One of the recommendations that came back from the agent was, I'm just going to read these before I flip to a map. Okay, so I'm showing my screen for those online. So this piece of property is owned by the municipality of the District of Shelburne. It currently sits within our industrial zone. The real estate agent has recommended that you could sell as is, or you could sever this piece of property, subdivide it into 4 lots. This triangle piece being 1 lot, and then this piece being 3 lots, and turn these 3 into just residential. So the CAO does have some comments that he'd like the committee to consider, and then we can enter into some
I think
discussion
the
there.
first thing to point out is the property immediately north
Yep.
of the highlighted one in yellow.
This one,
No, immediately north, that's that way.
this one, yeah,
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 that is also owned by the municipality. The one that's across the road to the left,
this one.
no,
Can't
to the
click on
west,
that 'cause it's
to
gonna
the
show.
left, the west, across the road to the west,
Right on the
the
harbor.
west. right on the harbor.
8257,
Sorry, right here.
That one there, we have an option to buy that this year, to buy that back. So that gives you an idea of the property that we do own in
Yes.
that area.
This one, and this
One of the
one.
considerations I'd like the committee to think about is the large property that's to the east, to the right.
This one,
Here, that property owner has expressed an interest in potentially selling that property. It is also one of the few large properties we have in that area that fits within the industrial designation. If we sold the property that's on the water and split that up, it would effectively block access to that much larger property if there was ever a sort of like a large scale industrial company that was interested in using that land and wanted access to the water. Selling that land there would effectively block that access. So I just want to put that on the table for your consideration.
if I may refresh my memory, 80101660 is not ours?
no,
That is owned privately.
yes.
That is owned by, is it Clearwater?
I don't know.
McDonald, Colin McDonald.
Colin McDonald, yeah. So that is potentially for sale as well. We know that. Yeah.
Sorry,
Is that also zoned commercially?
Yes.
All that
industrial,
stuff?
yeah.
So you'd be changing the zoning to break that into lots and try to sell?
Just this end piece,
Yeah.
break it into 3 lots. Or, I mean, you could go 4 lots and leave a buffer here as well.
And the ones to the south are residential.
Yeah, all
this
these are
point.
residential.
Oh, sure.
So if
Yeah,
I
Penny,
may,
go ahead. Sorry.
so what size are we considering here with all, and just even for the larger one to the right, I'm just wondering, how many acres are we talking about here on all of these different properties?
So the property as it sits right now is 13.1 acres.
Okay.
I didn't get a recommendation from the agent on what size those. He said just four lots, meaning this triangle piece here, and then three
Right. And the-
smaller lots ahead.
Right.
His recommendation was they're worth more money if you sell them as residential individual lots.
Yeah, I was thinking the total amount for each of those properties that we own. So that one, so that's
this is
13 acres.
This is
Yeah,
13.
yeah,
And this one I actually don't know, and I can't click on it because it'll show some owner information. I'm gonna say that's probably to like 3 acres at most.
okay. And then the larger to the right is substantially
Yeah. This one?
larger, yes.
Yes, this one's like 400 acres, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
That one on the water, I'm trying to remember, I think it's somewhere around 5.
I thought it was 5.2 or 5.3, something like that.
It's not large, but
It could possibly, I'm just looking.
So for agent to say that we can get 3 building residential lots out of that, there's plenty of room for what is required for a permit, basically.
Oh, yeah. Now, this doesn't have to be something you decide on now. We
No.
can just present it now. You can mull on it. We can talk about it at a future meeting and make the recommendation to council on what you think. I just wanted to make you aware that it does affect our industrial zoning. If that's something that the committee thinks council might go for, or might be in the best interest of the community. I will say that the road here, this is currently the road that comes into the industrial park. Can't really go any farther with it because of this landowner. And this landowner has expressed interest in making his piece of land bigger. So,
it's a boat storage.
You'd like to buy more land, is that what I hear?
yeah, he's approached the municipality in
Go ahead, Neil.
future, in previous years.
Of course, I have reservations for just residential. I know it borders on industrial, but I keep going back to, we don't have that anchor hotel type thing. It would be much easier, in my estimate, until we see it come back out of Harts Point. That land there has a lot of rock and so on onto it, and a lot of the land around here does. That particular area there does not. That sandy point going down that side. But that does leave a fair frontage. And also with the acreage across the road, if anybody was interested in putting something together that was half decent large, it's there. I just put it out there. I know residential, we sell 2 lots, it's, 2 more houses in and you get the value on of building lots, but that's just my thought.
Okay.
So, excuse me, so what we're talking about is our industrial park area, correct?
Pretty much.
So a number of years ago, and Councillor Richardson would probably remember this, and maybe the deputy warden, I'm not sure how many years ago it's been now, but we did talk about having a real look at the industrial park and how we could possibly, I guess, enhance that. So I would prefer us looking at all of the properties there and having a more comprehensive discussion on it as opposed to just one parcel of land here and another there. I prefer us to look at the whole area and and have more of a discussion as to what we could possibly entertain as a more wholesome, I guess,
Yeah.
industrial park
If-
for the municipality.
One of the strategies to consider is if you did want to sell the residential pieces to the south, that, Val, for the people online, if you just put your cursor where my finger is if we are going to purchase this property this year, is that we purchase this one here. That way we own all the property connecting to this large property here. That way we can go ahead and sell that for residential and still provide water access to anyone who might want to use this property for water access. So that's a consideration for the committee.
And if I may ask you, Warren, did the DND identify the area, there's still a dolphin in the harbor?
Yeah, we pointed out the 2 dolphins.
Is that not
It's-
just off of,
Yep, it's
It's
just,
up farther.
you can actually.
it is up further?
Yeah, it's right
You
here. You
see
can
it
see
right
the
here.
water lot.
Oh, there they are.
It's right here.
So, of course, that was what they used to use for refueling, if I understand correctly.
Yeah,
So it's not too far removed from those lots, like you're saying, for D and D again. And that may be an easier spot for them to put in anything related to a wharf.
Again, I
'Cause
think
they-
that comprehensive
Yeah,
discussion of the whole area is
because with those
important.
dolphins there, they already probably have records of what that bottom is like and so on.
It's also more sheltered there than Harts Point by far. Okay.
So we just want to
So
leave the discussion
Maybe
open
for the next,
future.
yeah,
Okay.
for
I think so,
another
I
meeting
mean-
to look, I guess, I'm sorry, Mr.
Will you
Chair.
go ahead?
I was just going to say, just kind of finishing off my thought there about having more information so that, again, we can look at the whole industrial park area and make a decision based on what we see there and
Yeah.
what potentially we would like to see for that park,
did the
including a
committee,
new sign.
did the committee want to give staff direction on whether or not you wanted us to make an inquiry about that one piece of property to see if the owner is interested in selling?
400 acres?
No, not the 400
Oh.
acres, the one
Oh.
that's,
That's kind of in the center
The
of
one
what
that's in
we
the
own.
center,
or
yeah,
don't.
right in the center, because that's,
What's
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep,
I would say.
yeah.
And I really like the thought of the subdividing too, because as you come down the Sandy Point Road, if there's 3 lots right there that are residential, that's bringing housing into our area too, with the option that somebody has the option to have a water view for property.
And it's actually, if it was rezoned, it's not far from infrastructure.
Yeah.
From water and sewer, so it could actually handle dense
Yeah.
housing, like apartment.
Yeah.
And I think we still have 100,000 in reserve for property acquisition, is that correct?
I don't believe so, no, or just the buyback.
The buyback, just
So the
the
one we were
buyback,
talking about,
okay.
that's budgeted to buy this year is, it's part of a buyback agreement where the municipality sold it years ago and they
Okay.
didn't develop it, so we have the opportunity to buy it back. At 90 or 80% of purchase.
yeah, I can't
value.
remember, but it
Yeah.
was in the fall, I think it was
Yeah.
in September 2016.
Yeah, so we do have that
when
budgeted this year.
So the question, if we do sell, like any of the surplus lots, those monies that is brought in from those sales,
Have to go into capital
Capital.
reserves.
so can the capital reserve be used to purchase other properties that is more beneficial to us?
Any capital purchases, so it could be used to extend infrastructure, buy
Building.
valuable property,
Yeah.
buy, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all discussions, but it does have to go into capital
Yeah,
reserves. You can't use it for.
But I was just wondering if it came that we could use those monies from this surplus.
To buy the other piece?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So do you want a recommendation to buy that?
I'm not willing to or ready to.
Do we have a price? Can we get a quote what the price would be to subdivide?
Yes.
I think there's a lot of things we've got to
Yeah.
figure out before we start buying.
Well, I'd like
and
to know
selling.
how much it is
Yeah.
to subdivide
I can
those.
definitely do that.
Yeah.
It probably goes without saying, but I would think that Taylor's would be approached first on if they're looking to expand in the size of their.
They've
property?
already said they're interested. It's just a matter of determining what the price would be.
That was in
So give them
the
for
triangle and back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could have Taylor's to the right and then the 3 lots below, and then potentially look at buying that one in the middle, which would give you clear access to the industrial all the way across the road. And whatever you get for selling to Taylor's as well as the 3 industrial lots could potentially fund what would
Or whoever.
more than fund that one in the middle, I would think, assuming that person
Kinda
is
square it
interested in
up,
selling.
Yeah, because we'd have to refer back to our policy to ensure that any sale is done, that we're following our policy.
Yeah, our disposal.
Disposal, yes, thank
Did our
you.
agent give us any approximate to what the lots would be worth? Are you willing to share?
Well, that's up to you guys.
Yeah.
It was, so he, the assessment we had was 100,000, 40 for the triangle, 100 if it's still industrial, 100 each if it's residential.
I don't know if that's in a camera or not.
Well, it would just be a minimum.
And that's
the
just an
assessment he
approximate,
gave us. Yeah. Very approximate, very high level. You just looked at what, that's not an appraisal of any
No,
sort.
no.
That's just a market,
Yeah.
a market value.
So I think there's a lot
Yeah.
to discuss further
I
before we
would've
make
thought
any
it'd be higher,
decisions.
We'll come back to committee the next meeting with an in-camera, just with some estimates.
do that?
Okay. Are there any other discussion on surplus lands?
And that's the only one, the others have been,
Yeah,
council
the
has
other
already
ones were all
made.
straightforward, yeah, valuation, and the other ones need to be cleaned up, titles, stuff like that, so.
Do we have an approximate date of when the other ones that are clear, when will they go for sale or whichever?
So that's a conversation for council, so I think we decided we would just take it as a staff report. Just need to be in camera, I mean, you can set your minimum bids in, but if they're just gonna be, it's just gonna be publicly marketed, then
Yeah.
really no.
And we had it out there anyway, people could see what surplus lands we've been
Yeah,
discussing.
so that was the only one that a recommendation came back that was a little different than what
Okay.
we had anticipated, so I thought it was important that the
Yep.
committee at least be aware, the public be aware that there might be some conversation on the change of zoning or change of use down in that area, so it sounds like there's a lot of more conversation that needs to
Yes.
happen, but yeah.
Is it necessary to move fast and try to sell it right away? Like, is there a need for the funds or something? Like,
No.
no. Go
If I
ahead.
may, just to follow up on the deputy warden, so what kind of a timeline are we looking at to get whether it's
The other ones for sale?
RFPs or however we're
So we already
selling
have a real estate agent,
Yeah.
understanding contract, so he's given us his market valuation. Council can make the decision at the next meeting. I can come with a staff
Okay,
report
Great.
and get those for sale, so.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And sorry if I may
Absolutely.
continue. At our, and I can't remember which council meeting it was, but we did have Matthew.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
can't remember his last name
So
now.
there's two that will go for his pasturing.
Pasturing properties, yes,
Yeah.
that's where my mind was going, that, so did staff meet with him to
No, not yet.
decide?
No, we haven't met on anything yet, so.
Okay.
Yeah, there's two PIDs that he'll be looking at. So
Okay,
one on
that
the
was
Lake
part of the
Road.
surplus
Yeah.
lands.
One on the Lake Road and one down West Green Harbor. But the
Okay.
one in West Green Harbor holds a lease on it, so I'm not sure that's gonna be workable, but, yeah. Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
that concludes the discussion on surplus lands. All right, under new business, we have code of conduct issue that we have to deal with. So municipal council found that there had been a breach of code of conduct, specifically during an in-camera portion of the January 2026 Economic Growth Committee meeting. Language was used that was perceived as being insensitive by some of those present. Council discussed potential sanctions regarding this breach at their in-camera meeting held March 25th, 2026. And it was unanimously agreed that the following sanction be imposed: Code of conduct for municipal elected officials, regulations made under Section 520 of the Municipal Government Act. Section 18(1)B a requirement the council member provide a letter acknowledging the contravention and apology no later than 15 days after the date of council imposes sanction. The letter of apologies be addressed to the chair of the Economic Growth Committee to be included on the future meeting agenda. So I have here a letter that was received from Councillor Irving, Thorburn Irving, members of Economic Growth Committee, Municipality of District of Shelburne, Council and staff, members of the public. I sincerely regret my choice of word used during the Economic Growth Committee meeting, January 26, 2026. I understand that my language was perceived as insensitive and fell short of our standards for respectful communication. I acknowledge that this was a breach of a code of conduct. I take full responsibility for my actions. To everyone impacted, I offer my sincerest apologies. I recognize the importance of language in fostering an inclusive environment. I commit to being more mindful in the future. I humbly submit this apology as acknowledgement of my breach of council code of conduct. Sincerely, Councillor Thorburn. So, with that out of the way.
Mr. Chair, I don't know, do we need to make a motion to accept that apology? I know at council, when it comes to council, that we do. So if so,
Okay.
I make the motion to accept the apology of Councillor Thorburn Irvine.
Okay, there's a second.
I second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded? All right,
Aye.
motion carried. All right, next on the new business, amalgamation committee update. So, Mr. Moore's going to give us a little update on that.
Yep. The last committee meeting, the committee were concerned about the costs associated with amalgamation, and that the potential cost would be well beyond the affordability of the 3 units. And they sent a letter to Minister McDonald with a request that if we were to go down the road of amalgamation, that the province would fund all amalgamation costs. The response actually came in the form of a phone call from the Assistant Deputy Minister, Valerie Portabunge, in which I had a conversation with her. And they've agreed to send a team up here to meet with the Amalgamation Steering Committee and explore what funding options might be available. There was no commitments made or anything like that on the phone. They just want to explore it. She did say that, because of the financial situation with the government, there wasn't going to be a carte blanche sort of, here's a check for 1.5 million like they did up in West Hants, although that wasn't 2 tranches. And she sort of asked, is there a phased approach that could be done? And I said that, yeah, there potentially could be a phased approach. First of all, there are reports that the NSRAB would require if you were to apply for amalgamation. But some of those reports you could do earlier that would give the various councils an idea as to whether or not they wanted to proceed or not. The main one would be the financial analysis report. But in order for the financial analysis report to be completed, you would have to have infrastructure reports feed into that. And you'd also have to have a human resources report feed into that as well. And so those 3 reports there would probably be where the committee would start off with the government of saying, you need to fund those to begin with. And then that would put enough information on the table that the amalgamation committee could probably make some early recommendations to their councils to move forward. The Assistant Deputy Minister also pointed out or inquired whether or not the committee had explored the concept of dissolution. And I said, not formally, the committee hadn't, but that would probably be a topic of interest to discuss. The committee has since asked for a presentation from a gentleman by the name of Chris McNeil on June 3rd to talk about his experiences with dissolution. He was involved in dissolution with a number of units, both from the unit perspective and also from the government perspective. So he'd be able to advise the units on that. The Assistant Deputy Minister sort of pointed out that dissolution generally is a cheaper option to go down, and you get the same end result. And I said, fair enough, take that to the committee and talk to the committee about that. So that's a consideration that the committee's going to have to, at some point, discuss. And so that's where it's at.
Okay.
I'll make a comment.
Okay.
And I sit on the committee, but the committee has made no commitment to anything yet. This is basically a fact find and information gathering of all 3 units to see how it's going to benefit us all, and if there is a benefit to us all. So there's been no commitment by anything other than we're looking for the funding to do those reports.
All right. Was there did they give you anyone a date as to when they may be able to come meet for a discussion?
Should be imminently. She said it would be about 4 weeks, and that was about 4 weeks ago, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah, comments?
Just, my understanding is for dissolution, one would, if we're entertaining 3, one would stay and the other 2 would dissolution, or
Yes,
that's basically what happens. So in other words, one entity, whether it be, we'll say the law court or whoever, stays as existing, and then the other 2 dissolution is what would happen in that case.
Did they mean if they were asking about phases in about dissolution, are they considering that one unit do it at a time? If it came to that?
and that's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that, because traditionally, all the previous examples has been it's one unit has applied to the NSRB to be dissolved into another unit. There has been no examples that I'm aware of 2 units dissolving at the same time to go into one unit. And that would be a much more complicated situation. So it might be something that's considered in series. I don't know the answer to that. And each individual unit would have to decide that themselves.
I'm trying to think of the Spring Hill.
There's a number.
Is that how the gentleman, the mayor in the CAO, I guess it was, from Windsor West Ends, correct?
Yeah.
Was that the process that
No.
they took? I didn't
No,
think
they
it was.
They went through consolidation.
Right.
So entirely different. That was through special legislative resolution that was passed. So their situation was very unique in the sense that it was actually a community group that acquired enough signatures that they could go to the NSRB and force the evaluation of amalgamation between the town and the district. And when that happened, and the NSARB then approached the 2 units and said, you have to now generate these reports for us to do the evaluation. Those 2 units at that point in time went to the province and said, are you interested in putting consolidation on the table in preference to going the amalgamation route? And I think their thinking at the time was that they would have more control of that situation than if they went the amalgamation route, where the control would be entirely with the NSARB. And the province at that time agreed to it. And that's the route that they went. We do know now that this government is not willing to put consolidation on the table. So the only options are amalgamation or dissolution.
Right. The term dissolution doesn't sound as good as amalgamation.
Historically, the towns that have gone through dissolution, I guess the reporting requirements are much less onerous. So the cost for them to generate the reports to put in front of the NSRB for them to consider their application are much less than if they were to be part of an amalgamation application where, it's going to cost us, significantly more.
Okay, if the province is willing to fund these reports, then does that matter so much?
And I think it's a phased approach. I think they are interested in potentially looking at funding those initial reports to get to, let's say, the phase one of whether or not the councils want to continue with that discussion.
I think we need those reports, whether it's dissolution or consolidation
Yeah.
Either way.
or amalgamation, because the towns might be in a different situation than us. We gotta, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, we gotta see that it's gonna benefit us too, to be part of this.
I hear what you're saying. I think that's one opinion, that's your personal opinion. Maybe we won't throw around personal opinions.
But I just wanted that it wasn't an opinion of the committee,
Right.
that we need to know how it's gonna impact each unit that's involved
Absolutely.
in
It's
this.
kind of like your environmental assessment of
Yeah.
Wishful. It has to be done before you can take the
Yeah.
next step.
Yeah,
So that'd be
100%.
great.
I think the most important part in that financial report is going to be the tax strategy. Because we know that, let's say in Windsor, West Hants, it didn't just become a universal tax for everybody that was the same. The town taxes stayed the same, the regional taxes stayed the same. There was area rates applied to debt, which was the one thing that changed right off the bat. And then we know that over time, that Windsor West Hants are considering an area rate to apply to district users for replacement and maintenance of streets, sidewalks, and lights in the towns, because they all use it.
Right.
So that's something that happens over time. So the tax strategy isn't something that just happens, boom, right away. It's usually something that's going to happen over time. And I think whoever is doing that financial report, the most important aspect of it is to have them put on the table what the potential tax strategy options are to consider. Because I think at the end of the day, that's really what I think most councillors are going to be interested in seeing.
Yeah, those reports are paramount to have before we consider moving forward in any way.
Yeah, and the infrastructure is probably the biggest item that's going to impact that. So what are the replacement costs for future infrastructure? So we know that the municipality has done all those ourselves already. So we've already got a schedule in place for replacing our sewer system and that type of thing. But the two towns will have to put RFPs out for engineers to do that for their systems. Whether or not they've already got reports that are useful to that process already, I don't know. I know that the town of Shelburne done a lot of work on their sewer system, but I don't know if they've got the same level of work on their water system. So those reports will all have to be done. And, trying to identify what the capital investment is for that infrastructure over time. It's going to have a pretty big impact on future tax rates, so.
All right.
The only thing that I will put out there is my understanding of dissolution. If one of the units goes to the province and says we no longer can function, we want a dissolution, then the province has to find some means that they are going to be governed. So generally, they have to make it palatable to join somewhere else, where if you go to the table, you may not be able to negotiate quite the deal you would under dissolution, because they don't want to take it on. And when I say they, the province, I'm trying to remember in the case of Bible Hill, I believe they disillusioned, or if I'm not mistaken, they went to one of the other units and said, what does it take to take them under your wing, so to speak? But that's, again, it goes to your assessment and infrastructure and everything that's there, so.
Yeah, dissolution, every case has been different, but generally what happens is that the provinces usually put a financial package in place, like usually a 5-year package for the process of essentially merging with the host unit. considerations will be, let's say, infrastructure, what infrastructure upgrades are required in the dissolving unit, and will the province be willing to put money on the table to put those in a state where the host unit doesn't have to absorb the impact of that cost.
It was my understanding from the meeting I attended that the debt of the different areas, remained their
Yes,
responsibility.
That'll be an area rate, but the infrastructure is different, right?
Right.
So, let's say, for example, if you had Town A that was dissolving into District B, the debt that they had would remain as an area rate to those residents in Town A. But their infrastructure over let's say the next 10 years that they have to replace, that dollar amount there would probably not be able to be afforded by an additional area rate to Town A. It would just be too much of a burden on those residents.
Right.
So the idea is, will the province come in, absorb that, or put some sort of funding in place to make that not a concern to both the town and to the district? So
could that be a negotiating tool at the time? Because we have to accept them if it comes to dissolution, right? As the host that.
the municipality would be able to make their case to the board as to what their concerns would be. And the board would have to hopefully consider that and invite the province to make.
But that's where these reports are going to come in,
Yes.
that we need them to show that those assets have a lifespan left of 3 or 4 years, and it's going to come as a.
My recommendation to the committee would be, when you do those reports, don't just do an amalgamation report, but also do dissolution reports, because the options are slightly different.
All right, well, I would like to say that I don't know the costs associated with all the reports. I don't know the financial burdens. I don't know about the infrastructure. But what I do know is that we all live in Lockport, in the town of Shelburne, and the municipality of Shelburne. We all live and work and have our kids here and there and everywhere. There's no boundaries when it comes to daily life. So I think the Economic Development Committee, it should be important to this committee that, we want economic development. Maybe economic sustainment, is important as well, right? If one district, is not able to carry themselves that well for whatever reason, then I think it's the responsibility of the other districts to kind of step in and help, because although they're governed separately at this time, it's all our area where we all live and work and do our things. So I think the Economic Development Committee, that should be some of its focus, if possible, I guess we're gonna see these reports come in, but be involved in it and, just encourage. I just think about the streamlining opportunities if you were one unit, if it was all one unit. You guys are wanting to put a development project right up here.
Yeah.
But we couldn't access the infrastructure to make it happen.
Yeah.
Things like that could be a
One of the
lot easier, right? So
That's true.
I recognize there's debts and some are doing better than all the rest of the things, but at the same time.
One of the documents that I think would be interesting for people to read, I don't know if you've seen it, it's on our website under the Amalgamation Committee, is a document, and that was the workshop that was hosted by Kevin Lattimore with the 3 councils. And in that, it was very clearly identified what the potential challenges are, but also what the potential opportunities are.
Right.
And like having a single vision and streamlining and all of that, all of those are definite benefits. And, from an administrator point of view, the challenges we have with shared services and infrastructure and fire services are ongoing, because we're not necessarily aligned in what our visions are for those. So under amalgamation, that's definitely a benefit for sure.
Right.
And you're right about that. And having a single vision is preferable. The question then is, at what cost, right?
100%, everything costs, for sure. Yeah, so, yeah, it'd be great to see those reports, right? Because that's gonna put some things in black and white for everyone.
Those are vital.
Yeah,
The reports are vital.
be good to get,
Excuse me.
especially the province will fund those, that would be great. And, keep
Do we
going
want
forward from
to
there.
keep the amalgamation committee update on our agenda going forward?
I think we
I
should.
think so. I think it's really, I mean, economic development, sustainability of our community, of where we live is what we're trying to do here, right?
Yep.
This is a big, I think this is a major factor in how things, and what takes place moving forward.
Yeah, I think the committee members here are welcome to make comments to the amalgamation committee. They do open the floor to comments from the floor, so.
And I'll say it truthfully, I think we should be looking at the province, should be on the amount of counties. I think it should be countywide. So when you have Yarmouth County, they should all be in one unit. I mean, the province is dealing with 49, I think it's 49, is it? Independent municipal units. I mean, it's too much. And when they looked at amalgamation, I think they dropped the ball with just Queens and Halifax. I think they should have carried it right through. Well, they have CBRN, but then all the rest are, so Shelburne County would include Barrington, to my way of thinking, and I think the province dropped the ball. So I agree with you. I think it would be better for everybody.
Yeah.
That's a really big conversation.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Yeah, that's
Right?
huge.
we'll start small.
I hear you.
It's not small at all.
I'm not disagreeing with,
Yeah.
what you were saying to me in a bigger scale. I think we'd all be better off.
Right, because we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Living and working together.
Ultimately, we're all doing the exact same thing. We're trying to live and
You have too many at the table, you know what you get accomplished.
not very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just would say Queens did it on their own, but
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah.
province didn't come in and make them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
They didn't
think
make them, but boy, did they ever
Yeah, no,
make
it's-
it,
I think
make it whole.
I think at the time they saw the writing on the wall and thought, let's do this on our own,
Yeah.
be successful at it as opposed to the province coming in and saying, we will do this.
That feels better every day of the week, right? You can-
But New Brunswick made it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
big discussion,
Yep,
that's
that's
for
good.
sure. That's why there's a committee and hopefully we can,
So we will keep that
Talk
on the
with the-
agenda moving forward.
Good. All right, any more comments on the amalgamation? No? All right. Excuse me, I
I
guess
don't
at
know
this
if Andrea
time,
had anything to add, she's been very quiet.
Andrea, do you have anything to add?
No, I'm okay. I'm not feeling well, so I'm just staying in the back listening. So everything's great. Thank you.
Okay, excuse me. I guess at this time we'll go in camera.
No, we have no in-camera items.
No
so we're
in-camera
good.
items?
Yep.
Okay. Do we have a date for our next meeting?
So I'm away for most of June, which doesn't necessarily, the committee can meet without me, but I'm
I
just.
don't know about that.
Well, I'm confident you could. I don't know that soon how much we'll have a really robust agenda by that point. So my recommendation would be to go to the second Tuesday in July. There'll be there won't be any updates on the boys' school property
17th?
or,
7th.
Oh, good sir.
isn't it?
Oh, it's 14th,
14th
sorry.
of July. So that's decisions of the committee though, just if you guys want to.
We actually had that already scheduled.
Yeah, because it's scheduled monthly right now,
Yes.
so
Okay.
I'm saying cancel the one in June,
June.
just because I'm not gonna have the time to
Yeah.
put together the agenda, and I don't know that we'd have enough to make a full agenda at that point.
I'm okay with that. Me too, because I'm away for the 9th,
Okay,
so.
Yeah.
so
All
July
right, that's gonna be
14th
good
at
fun.
5?
Sounds good.
That way we'd have another update from our meeting with the amalgamation
Yeah.
committee. So there'll be a good update on that.
Yeah.
And we might even have the results of the environmental, so I don't know the ETA on that, I shouldn't have said that, but I don't think it would take too long to
And
do
the
that.
information from the 103 properties.
Yes,
possibly.
and the information from the 103 property.
Yeah, we would probably have quite a agenda for July, which is
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Especially
Yep.
from the discussion that we had about the industrial park
Yep,
properties as well.
Yep, yep.
And perhaps some of the other ones.
Yep.
That we're looking to sell.
All right,
Good.
All right,
thanks everyone for coming out.
motion to adjourn.
All those in
That's
favor?
right, guys.